Howdy, folks. This is Oscar Ross. I'm your Communist Parts guy. Thanks for being here. I'm one of the good guys, as you guys know. We're doing it, okay, and that's a fact. It's backed up by the truth. You don't question me. You don't question communism, and we're gonna probably just try to get right into it. Okay, so that being said, we're gonna watch a video. It's the Communist Menu Manifesto.
Party by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels.
All right.
A specter is haunting Europe, the specter of communism. All the powers of old Europe have entered into a holy alliance to exorcise this specter. Pope and Tsar, Metternich and Guizot, French radicals and German police spies. Where is the party in opposition that has not been decried as communistic by its opponents in power? Where is the opposition that has not hurled back the branding reproach of communism against the more advanced opposition parties, as well as
He makes some very good points.
against its reactionary adversaries? Two things result from this fact. One,
Oh, by the way, hi, Mint. Thanks for being here. Get right back to work here.
communism is already acknowledged by all European powers to be itself a power.
Yep.
Two, it is high time that communists should openly, in the face of the whole world, publish their views, their aims, their tendencies, and meet this nursery tale of the specter of communism with a manifesto of the party
That's true. You should publish your work, folks.
itself. To this end, communists of various nationalities have assembled in London and sketched the following manifesto, to be published in the English, French, German, Italian, Flemish, and Danish languages.
Yep.
Section 1. Bourgeois and Proletarians.
This sounds interesting, folks. Let's keep watching.
The history of all hitherto existing societies is the history of class struggles.
Go.
Freeman and slave, patrician and plebeian, lord and serf, guildmaster and journeyman, in a word, oppressor and oppressed, stood in constant opposition to one another, carried on an uninterrupted, now hidden, now open fight, a fight that each time ended either in a revolutionary.
So I believe that they're correct. If it was done right, communism would be best, folks. Let's keep watching.
Reconstitution of society at large, or in the common ruin of the
Pizza,
contending classes.
David, how you doing?
In the earlier epochs of history, we find almost everywhere a complicated arrangement of society into various orders, a manifold gradation of social rank. In ancient Rome, we have patricians, knights, plebeians, slaves. In the Middle Ages, feudal lords, vassals, guildmasters, journeymen, apprentices, serfs.
Thank you for embracing this stream. Thank you for embracing communism as it will dominate the earth by the end of 2025. Thank you for being here, everyone. I'm good, Pizza. Thanks for being here, everyone. Mint, Pizza, Adam, thanks for being here. Thank you, all my comrades. We'll take a little 3-second break. Let's go. Hey, Diablo, how you doing? Well, the FBI, I think if they had the facts like we're going to present tonight, they will understand that the only option is communism, because communism is about sharing. And if anyone's against sharing, they lost me, they lost my vote. Let's get back to work. Let's get back to the video, folks. All right.
In almost all of these classes, again, subordinate gradations. The modern bourgeois society that has sprouted from the ruins of feudal society has not done away with class antagonisms. It has but established new classes, new conditions of oppression, new forms of struggle in place of the old ones. Our epoch, the epoch of the bourgeoisie, possesses, however, this distinctive feature. It has simplified the class antagonisms. Society as a whole is more and more splitting up into two great hostile camps,
Ugh.
into two great classes directly facing each other, bourgeoisie and proletariat.
Ugh.
From the serfs of the Middle Ages sprang the chartered burghers of the earliest towns.
He makes sense, doesn't he, folks? The video makes sense. We should watch the video and pay attention. That's a fact, Jack. You don't question Oscar Ross. You don't question my ideas. We'll keep going here. I know, I heard the word burger too. I'm interested.
From these burgesses, the first elements of the bourgeoisie were developed. The discovery of America, the rounding of the Cape, opened up fresh ground for the rising bourgeoisie. The East Indian and Chinese markets, the colonization of America, trade with the colonies, the increase in the means of exchange and in commodities generally,
Yeah, I'm muted.
gave to commerce, to navigation, to industry, an impulse never before known, and thereby, to the revolutionary element in the tottering feudal society, a rapid development.
I just have to pause this because Pizza makes a good comment in a gulag. There's gulags for anyone that disagree with me or anyone that disagree with anyone in the chat. These are facts. We're shooting out. Let's get back to work. Get back to the video.
The feudal system of industry, under which industrial production was monopolized by closed guilds, now no longer sufficed for the growing wants of the new markets. The manufacturing system took its place. The guildmasters were pushed on one side by the manufacturing middle class. Division of labor between the different corporate guilds vanished in the face of division of labor in each single
So they talk about the class system. I think we should go ahead and keep watching, folks.
workshop. Meantime, the markets kept ever growing, the demand ever rising. Even manufacture no longer sufficed. Thereupon, steam and machinery revolutionized industrial production. The place of manufacture was taken by the giant modern industry, the place of the industrial middle class, by industrial millionaires, the leaders of whole industrial armies, the modern bourgeois. Modern industry has established the world market for which the discovery of America paved the way. This market has given an immense development to commerce, to navigation, to
It's all true, folks. Let's keep watching.
communication by land. This development has, in its time, reacted on the extension of industry, and in proportion as industry, commerce, navigation, railways extended, in the same proportion the bourgeoisie developed, increased its capital, and pushed into the background every class handed down from the Middle Ages. We see, therefore, how the modern bourgeoisie is itself the product of a long course of development.
See, a lot of people don't know about communism. We're trying to educate them, and without education, there's ignorance, and we're trying to cure that.
Development of a series of revolutions in the modes of production and of exchange. Each step in the development of the bourgeoisie was accompanied by a corresponding political advance of that class. An oppressed class under the sway of the feudal nobility, an armed and self-governing association in the medieval commune, here independent urban republic, as in Italy and Germany, there taxable third estate of the monarchy, as in France.
This is all good information.
Afterwards, in the period of manufacture proper, serving either the semi-feudal or the absolute monarchy as a counterpoise against the nobility, and in fact, cornerstone of the great monarchies in general, the bourgeoisie has at last, since the establishment of modern industry and of the world market, conquered for itself, in the modern representative state, exclusive political sway. The executive of the modern state is but a committee for managing the common affairs of the whole bourgeoisie.
And I hope you guys are paying attention.
The bourgeoisie historically has played a most revolutionary part. The bourgeoisie, wherever it has got the upper hand, has put an end to all feudal, patriarchal, idyllic relations. It has pitilessly torn asunder the motley feudal ties that bound man to his natural superiors, and has left remaining no other nexus between man and man than naked self-interest, than callous
That's right, folks. You find the nexus or the connection. Okay.
cash payment. It has drowned the most heavenly ecstasies of religious fervor, of chivalrous enthusiasm, of Philistine sentimentalism in the icy water of egotistical calculation. It has resolved personal worth into exchange value, and in
That's a fact, Jack, folks.
place of the numberless and indefeasible chartered
Mike
freedoms,
E, how you doing, bud?
has set
Thanks
up
for the
that
fiber.
single, unconscionable freedom, free trade.
Mike V, thanks for the $5. Let's read this super chat. Mike V advises, hi Chad, glad to see you. Just came on and we'll enjoy some KFC. All right. And all about communism. Possible libraries. That's right. Mike V is one of the good guys. He knows that communism is about sharing, being a good person, giving back to the community. You know, anyone disagrees, if anyone's not about those values, you lost me, you lost my vote, folks. Reverend Billy, how you doing? Okay, let's get back to work, folks. Okay. Let's see. All right, back to work, folks. Here we go.
In one word, for exploitation,
Hey, Chris.
veiled by religious and political illusions, naked, shameless, direct, brutal exploitation. The bourgeoisie has stripped of its halo every occupation hitherto honored and looked up to with reverent awe. It has converted the physician, the lawyer, the priest, the poet, the man of science into its paid wage laborers.
I agree with this comment. I have to pause the video. According to David, according to the Soviet, pizza was invented in Moscow. I have heard that too, so that's now a confirmed fact. Also, things invented in the Soviet Union, according to the information I've received. You know, things like Pepsi, Tesla, the light bulb, things like that were all invented in USSR, folks. Anyone that disagrees is guilty of crimes. We got gulags for people that disagree.
Bourgeoisie has torn away from the family its sentimental veil and has reduced the family relation to a mere money relation.
Skull.
The bourgeoisie has disclosed how it came to pass that the brutal display of vigor in the Middle Ages, which reactionists so much admire, found its fitting complement in the most slothful indolence. It has been the first to show what man's activity can bring about. New classes, new conditions of most slothful, established connections.
We're going to pause the video because we have some people that are doubting communism. Also, you're right. Pirates were invented in the Soviet Union. Anyways, you know, there's some critics, but communism really is about sharing in the community. So, and you're right, Carol Labatt's. Anyway, so getting off track. Listen to the video. You listen to Oscar Ross. You learn a lot. Let's keep going, folks. We got a lot of work to do here.
Connections everywhere. The bourgeoisie has, through its exploitation of the world market, given a cosmopolitan character to production and consumption in every country. To the great chagrin of reactionists, it has drawn from under the feet of industry the national ground on which it stood. All old established national industries have been destroyed or are daily being destroyed. They are dislodged by new industries, whose introduction becomes a life and death question for all civilized nations, by industries that no longer work up indigenous raw material.
He makes a lot of good points, folks. Let's let him talk.
But raw material drawn from the remotest zones. Industries whose products are consumed not only at home, but in every quarter of the globe. In place of the old wants, satisfied by the productions of the country, we find new wants, requiring for their satisfaction the products of distant lands and climes. In place of the old local and national seclusion and self-sufficiency, we have intercourse in every direction, universal interdependence of nations. And as in material, so also in intellectual production. The intellectual
I agree. I agree with everything he's saying so far, folks.
creations of individual nations become common property. National one-sidedness and narrow-mindedness become more and more impossible, and from the numerous national and local literatures, there arises a world literature. The bourgeoisie, by the rapid improvement of all instruments of production, by the immensely facilitated means of communication, draws all, even the most barbarian nations into civilization.
I agree with everything he's saying. We're doing good. We keep going with the video here. And these are facts we're shooting out.
The cheap prices of its commodities are the heavy artillery with which it batters down all Chinese walls, with which it forces the barbarians' intensely obstinate hatred of foreigners to capitulate. It compels all nations, on pain of extinction, to adopt the bourgeois mode of production. It compels
Right. You got to adopt the modes of production, folks. Okay.
them to introduce what it calls civilization into their midst, i.e., to become bourgeois themselves. In one word, it creates a world after its own image. The bourgeoisie has subjected the country to the rule of the towns. It has created enormous cities, has greatly increased the urban population as compared with the rural, and has thus rescued a considerable part of the population from the idiocy of rural life.
I agree.
Just as it has made the country dependent on the towns, so it has made barbarian and semi-barbarian countries dependent on the civilized ones, nations of peasants on nations of bourgeois, the East on the West. The bourgeoisie keeps more and more doing away with the scattered state of the population, of the means of production, and of property. It has agglomerated
He makes a lot of good points, folks. Am I right?
production and has concentrated property in a few hands. The natural consequence of this was political centralization. Independent, or but loosely connected provinces, with separate interests, laws, governments, and systems of taxation, became lumped together into one nation with one government, one code of laws, one national class interest, one frontier, and one customs tariff. The bourgeoisie, during its rule of scarce 100 years, has created more massive and more colossal productive forces than have all preceding generations together. Subjection of nature's forces to man, machinery, application of chemistry to
I agree, folks.
industry and agriculture, steam navigation, railways, electric telegraphs, clearing of whole continents for cultivation, canalization of rivers, whole populations conjured out of the ground. What earlier century had even a presentiment that such productive forces slumbered in the lap of social labor? We see then the means of production and of exchange, on whose foundation the bourgeoisie built itself
That'll come up a lot. The means of production, folks. Okay.
up, were generated in feudal society. At a certain stage in the development of these means of production and of exchange, the conditions under which feudal society produced and exchanged, the feudal organization of agriculture and manufacturing industry, in one word, the feudal relations of property, became no longer compatible with the already developed productive forces. They became so many fetters. They had to be burst asunder. They were burst asunder. Into their place stepped free competition, accompanied by a social and political constitution adapted to it.
We're going to talk about the Constitution here, so we should probably pay attention.
And by the economical and political sway of the bourgeois class. A similar movement is going on before our own eyes. Modern bourgeois society, with its relations of production, of exchange, and of property, a society that has conjured up such gigantic means of production and of exchange, is like the sorcerer who is no longer able to control the powers of the nether world, whom
I told you they would talk about the means of production again, so here they are talking about it. Okay.
he is called up by his spells. For many a decade past, the history of industry and commerce is but the history of the revolt of modern productive forces against modern conditions of production, against the property relations that are the conditions for the existence of the bourgeoisie and of its rule. It is enough to mention the commercial crises that by their periodical return put on its trial, each time more threateningly, the existence of the entire bourgeois society. In these crises, a great
So now they're talking about the bourgeois society, folks.
part not only of the existing products, but also of the previously created productive forces, are periodically destroyed. In these crises, there breaks out an epidemic that, in all earlier epochs, would have seemed an absurdity, the epidemic of overproduction. Society suddenly finds itself put back into a state of momentary barbarism. It appears as if a famine, a universal war of devastation, had cut off the supply of every means of subsistence. Industry and commerce seem to be destroyed. And why? Because there is too much civilization, too much means of subsistence,
Too much civilization, folks.
too much industry, too much commerce. The productive forces at the disposal of society no longer tend to further the development of the conditions of bourgeois property. On the contrary, they have become too powerful for these conditions, by which they are fettered, and so soon as they overcome these fetters, they bring disorder into the whole of bourgeois society, endanger the existence of bourgeois property. The conditions of bourgeois society are too narrow to comprise the wealth created by them. And how does the bourgeoisie get over these crises?
Okay. I see these people commenting on my videos I must watch. That's cool. So somebody says, chat about you play Hitler's Winter Wonderland. I love the history, folks. The World War II is very fascinating to me. So I watch a lot of World War II Hitler stuff. Super Tip Stanley says, how much did Musk pay to impose his will on our government? Time for the poor to get rich. And yeah, no, that's exactly. You got guys like, and this used to happen in the 1800s, where you had the rich and the poor and no middle class. And since that time, in the early 1900s, we had a middle class, which is now shrinking. They want to get rid of the middle class and just have rich and poor people, like the Gilded Age. And so far that's happening. You got people like Musk. Not only that he's rich, he's taking over. He's influencing, as you guys can see, the government. King has 6,000 watts of solar and a 12K 220 inverter. Wow, it's a lot more than I have. Nice, that's great. We'll probably save some of the video for next time. I just wanted to introduce it. And if anyone has any final questions, we'll take it. We'll keep going next video, since there is a high level of interest. We'll take a few questions. If not, we'll wrap up. My name is Oscar Ross. I'm your Communist Parts guy. That's a fact check. Like I said, we're going to wrap up. Okay. So I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank Mike V for the super chat. And I hope everyone has a great night in this Daleverse. Yeah, man, that's, it's a good question. Oh, Mike V advises, how do you wash your car in the winter? Well, I haven't washed my car in the winter in a long time, but when I did it when I was younger, before I had a kid, I used to try to wait until it was over 32 degrees and do it outside. Or I'd pull it in the garage and do it that way. It really wanted at least 32 degrees, or else the water will start freezing. Right, yeah, Mike, yeah, it definitely freezes up. Well, when I bought my car, and this is the only time I did it, but I bought a Prius back then. It was brand new, and I had it undercoated, so it's pretty protected. If you undercoat it when it's brand new. Yeah, I know. When I was younger, I used to have no fear. I used to always wash the car in underneath. And finally, I got a little smarter, and I had it undercoated when it was brand new. And I even undercoated the exhaust with the 1500 exhaust paint in the 2012 car with 160,000 miles. I never had to replace an exhaust part. It's probably getting somewhat rusty now, but so far so good. And that's my answer to that. I hope I answered your question, Mike V. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, I haven't looked into that guy. I'll have to look into him. King of Diffs is advising you saltwater. Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea, Carl. Earl. And that's what we're talking about, folks. All right. Oh. Best car wax. Oh, it's been years since I waxed my car. I used to like when you got 10 different car waxes in the aisle, I'd either go with something either Meguiar's or Mother's. Usually Meguiar. Oh, they're both good. You can't really Meguiar's or Mother's is really good. I don't know about that question, man. It's a good question. Probably have to sleep on it. A lot of stuff going on in the Daleverse, huh? We have turtle wax. I don't know. I don't object to that. It's really not a bad wax as long as you're putting something on there. A lot of stuff going on in the Daleverse between Chad going to John's house and all that stuff. Oh, no problem, man. So we have a lot of work ahead of us in the future if we want to keep this Daleverse going strong. Just remember, everyone, communism is good for the community. That's a fact, Jack. You don't question Oscar Ross and lie about it. Okay, everyone. Hope everyone has a great night. Yeah, King, I agree. Adam's our chemical guy. Yep. Mike's saying, thanks, King. Mike's saying, if you use spray wax every 2 weeks, don't still need to use regular car wax. I'd probably wax it twice a year and then keep spray waxing it to keep it rejuvenated. You know what I used to like to do, because I used to work years ago at a professional detail shop. They used to spray the tire wax, the tire wet This doesn't have anything to do with wax, but they would spray the tire wet in the wheel wells. It looked really nice. Ooh. I never heard of that wax, Carl. Oh, that's cool though. Yeah, King's right. Spray waxes have come a long way. Like I said, it's been a while since I waxed my car, but when the car was newer, I used to enjoy doing it. And that's a fact. If they sprayed, no, we didn't wipe it. We just sprayed a little bit on it. It looked really professional. Made it look a little better. Oh, that clay bar is good stuff, but it takes a long time. No pain, no gain, though. Am I right? Trying to think what else we could wrap up with. Those are some really good car questions. All right, I guess we could. Hey, Carl, I think they do. So thanks again, Mike V, for the super chat. Thanks for being here, everyone, and we'll see you guys next time. Yeah, Mike. Yeah, it's hard in the winter. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks again, Mike.